So it's occurred to me that, I have been raised with a very, narrow mentality as far as like work and trades and, vocation, whatnot, professions, as to what those, could be defined as. And it's funny that I was told growing up that, I should get at some kind of a trade. And I thought to myself, it occurred to me like yesterday and this morning that video making and photography is a trade if that's how you want to define it. Sure, it's an art, but it's also a discipline, and it's also can become a vocation. Obviously, it's a very valuable skill to have these days, because obviously with online presence and the amount of the increasing percentage of e-commerce, video for marketing and video and photography for simply representing what it is that an e-commerce business or any business, the importance of imaging in marketing and branding and in communication, essentially in communicating between a company and its intended audience or customers is it's a very important skill. And I don't know why it's taken me this long to occur to me that I was raised with a very workaday mentality of, you have to go to a job that you hate. I mean, this is how I was raised. This is what I was taught. This is the paradigm that I was, raised with. That this is how you make your living. You make your living by going to a job that you hate every day and slaving away and never having enough, never getting to do. Dreams were just dreams. Dreams were just illusions, just fantasies, not that dreams were something that could come true if you put your mind to it. And, I'm definitely trying to teach my kids in a better way than I was taught. It's taken me a lot of time and a lot of effort to get to the point where I believe enough of myself to say that, my dreams are crazy, for sure. They're wild. They're huge. They're, unrealistic, but that's what dreams are supposed to be. And, I do believe that maybe not all your dreams are going to come true, but none of them are going to come true if you don't pursue them. So that's just sort of the conclusion that I've reached. A couple years ago, I would have thought that owning a motorcycle was a dream. It was a dream, in fact. All of every success and every pursuit in your life starts as a dream. And if you don't believe it can become a reality, well, then you're right. And if you do believe it can become a reality, you're right. So that's just my morning sunrise thinking. I don't know if you can see the sunrise at all over here. The setting is kind of whacked on this camera. I gotta figure this out. There we go. That's what we need. Yeah. There we are. Lovely. Okay, perfect. That's much better. Okay, so let's do a little more. A little bit nicer setting. Yeah, that's good. That looks good. It is not a particularly sunrisey morning, honestly. It does not really look like much of a sunrise, but that is kind of nice to see that. Rays of hope poking through the clouds of doom. Yeah, one of the sayings that I heard, and it's not my own saying, but that the veil between the rural and the eldritch is sometimes very fine. And that's definitely true. The smells and the sights of being out in the country, it just feels primeval. It feels strange and wondrous. No, and honestly, I want to say one thing. I feel very blessed. I feel very grateful. I'm grateful to be alive every morning that I wake up. I'm grateful to be here. Life is challenging. It's not always easy. It's never easy. But but that's the point, though. If it was so easy, what kind of a game would it be if everything was just, smooth sailing and downhill coasting? It's not like that, because it's a challenge, and we're here to accomplish things, learn things, and overcome parts of ourselves that need improving. It's we're a diamond that's being either formed in the intense pressure of a volcano or whatever, and then finally, beyond being formed into a diamond, we need to be cut and polished into something beautiful. And I think that's the process that we're undergoing through this life. And yeah, it hurts. It's tough. It's not. None of that. Describing that process, none of that sounds pleasant, honestly. But if the end result is a finer version of ourselves, then I think it's worth it. But You know, I'll tell you another thing that I think very strange in line with the talk about, you know, photography and video as a trade, as a you know, something that I could explain to my grandfather as to why I do this stuff. And another funny thing that crossed my mind is that, like, I'm always so concerned, I have been so concerned in the past about, like, how I look with a camera. I must look like a Looney Tune standing on the side of the road with a camera. I just got a thumbs up from a guy driving by. And see, like, I guess when I started doing this 4 or 5 years ago, I felt like an odd duck holding a camera up like a weirdo, taking a picture of myself, making videos of myself, talking to myself. These are all traditionally, you know, kind of odd things. When I was a kid, this would have been considered very strange, but now it's become so commonplace that I don't think it's strange at all. If people understand the value of what you're trying to do and trying to take a video or a recording of yourself, like, you know, is there an egotism about it? Yeah, sure, probably. There's definitely some egotism to it. I'm not gonna say there isn't, like, you know, hearing the sound of your own voice, but like there's a greater purpose to it, and trying to explain that, you know, I have this, what I meant by having a paradigm that you're raised with is that, you know, it's sort of the underlying voice in your head that makes you doubt sometimes. It can be very empowering, but it can also be very very doubtful and very, like, unnecessarily restrictive. Because, you know, what do I give a shit what my grandfather thinks about this? You know, he worked in a factory all his life. Good for him. He lived in a time when a guy with no education could go work at a job he hated and slave away for his whole career at one job, at one company, doing one fucking thing every day of his life, and then retire with enough money to live for the rest of his life, and have a nice home and a new car and a vacation. You know, this doesn't exist anymore. This is not the world I live in. So, you know, maybe what I'm doing doesn't make sense to people of his generation, but I don't really give a shit. And that's the bottom line, is I don't give a shit anymore. Like, why should I worry about these cars driving by me? What does the driver of this car think? Oh, look at that squirrely fucking guy sitting beside his motorcycle recording himself like a weirdo. Sure, I'm a weirdo. I'll admit to that, for sure. But what do I give two shits about what that person thinks? Where are they going? Where are they going at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday morning? To a job, probably, that they fucking hate? Maybe, and I hope not. I hope they're going to do something that really, you know, lights their soul on fire and makes a difference to the world. But I fucking doubt it. Not to say that's what I'm accomplishing here, but I'm trying. And I sincerely hope the same for everyone else. I sincerely hope that everyone can feel, you know, good about what they do, and feel a satisfaction that what they're doing is making a difference for themselves and for the world. So, but bottom line is, you can't really worry too much about how you look and how people think of you, because who gives a shit? They're not living your life, they're not paying your bills, and you're not paying theirs. So that's the bottom line. I don't know if looks like it's gonna fucking rain here. I better get scooting back on home. Rant over.